Fake business scam: how trucking companies exploit immigrant drivers in Canada. Welcome back to Canada Chronicles. Today we're exposing a growing scandal in Canada's trucking industry, a hidden system turning immigrant drivers into victims of corporate manipulation. Many came believing they were building better lives, but some companies have quietly redefined their jobs as fake businesses, dodging taxes and stripping away worker protections. Behind the wheel of thousands of trucks are men and women who don't realize they've been reclassified, not as employees, but as independent corporations forced to carry all the risk. It's a system saving carriers millions while endangering safety and fairness. This investigation uncovers how trucking firms use the Driver Inc. setup to bypass labor laws and exploit newcomers desperate for work. You'll also learn how these practices cost Canadians billions in lost revenue and what the government plans to do about it. Stay with us until the end, because we'll reveal what the government isn't telling you, the next big moves to shut down this scheme, and how drivers can protect themselves before it's too late. So if you care about fairness, safety, and the future of Canada's workforce, make sure you hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Let's get started. The hidden exploitation on Canada's highways. Every day, heavy rigs move fuel, food, medical supplies, and building materials across the country. Canadians assume the people driving them are trained professionals with fair pay and strong protections. But a growing number of drivers operate under a deceptive system called Driver Inc., which classifies them as businesses instead of employees. For many newcomers, being their own boss sounds empowering. In reality, it means losing vacation pay, overtime, pensions, and insurance. The Canadian Trucking Alliance told Parliament in October 2025 that Driver Inc. has become one of the most damaging schemes facing the industry and taxpayers. Employment and Social Development Canada confirms that misclassification in federally regulated trucking is illegal and now under national investigation. Carriers save tens of thousands per driver each year, while workers and taxpayers shoulder the cost. How the Driver Inc. scheme works. Under Driver Inc., a carrier pushes a driver to incorporate a one-person company and invoice the firm instead of receiving a paycheck. On paper, the driver appears self-employed. In practice, the company still controls the truck, routes, and schedule. The Alberta Motor Transport Association describes it as a tactic where employers convince workers to act as business owners only to exploit them. The Canada Labour Code states that workers must be treated as employees when the company dictates how the job is done. Legal experts call this the ABC test. If the worker is under company control, performs work central to the company's business, and is not running a separate trade, they're an employee. By pretending otherwise, carriers avoid paying into the Canada Pension Plan, employment insurance, and workers' compensation, pocketing roughly $20,000 to $30,000 per driver each year. How immigrant and temporary workers are targeted. Immigrant drivers and temporary foreign workers are the easiest targets. They arrive looking for stability, and carriers present incorporation as a shortcut to higher income. But newcomers often don't understand the legal consequences. The Alberta Motor Transport Association warns that immigrants are told only half the story. Once they sign up, they discover that independence means no vacation pay, no benefits, no safety net, and full responsibility for truck maintenance and taxes. Investigations show misclassification rates above 60% in Ontario. Many of these drivers fear losing jobs or immigration status if they complain. Without fluent English or legal knowledge, they can't challenge unfair contracts. Canada depends on newcomers in trucking, agriculture, construction, and food processing. When those same workers are exploited, it undermines the credibility of Canada's immigration system and its promise of fairness. The cost to Canada. The Canadian Trucking Alliance estimates that misclassification drains $1 billion to $5 billion a year in unpaid taxes, pension, and insurance contributions. Employment and Social Development Canada found non-compliance rates of up to 40% nationwide. The numbers reveal a system deliberately structured to dodge accountability. Safety is another casualty. If a company cheats on payroll, what else might it neglect? Training, maintenance, or driver rest rules. When untrained drivers operate 40-ton trucks, every Canadian on the road is at risk. Meanwhile, law-abiding carriers can't compete. Those who pay benefits and follow standards face massive cost disadvantages. The result is a race to the bottom that punishes integrity and rewards corner cutting. Why this matters? The Driver Inc. problem links three national concerns: road safety, immigration integrity, and economic fairness. Trucking is one of the most dangerous jobs in Canada. When drivers are overworked, underpaid, and unprotected, crashes rise. Every unsafe truck threatens families sharing the highway. From an immigration perspective, forcing newcomers into exploitative contracts damages Canada's reputation as a country that protects workers. And for taxpayers, billions lost in contributions mean fewer funds for healthcare, pensions, and public infrastructure. Despite government awareness, enforcement has lagged. Carriers often shut down, reopen under new names, and continue the same practices. It's a cycle that survives because oversight hasn't kept pace. Inside the scam. Here's how it usually plays out. A trucking company recruits a newcomer and says, "Incorporate your own business, invoice us per load, and you'll make more money." The driver registers a company, sometimes leasing a truck from the same carrier, but the firm controls everything: dispatch, schedule, and freight. The driver has no freedom, pays their own insurance and fuel, and bears full liability. Pay is often by the mile, with no overtime or guaranteed rest breaks. Maintenance and accident costs come from the driver's pocket. Carriers keep their hands clean while saving tens of thousands in taxes and benefits. Experts warn that if this continues unchecked, Canada's trucking industry could split between compliant companies struggling to survive and underground operators thriving on exploitation. Thanks for staying with us this far. We appreciate your time and hope you're finding this information valuable. What the government isn't telling you, inside the next big moves, and how you can protect yourself. So what's coming next? In 2025, the federal government finally began taking action. Employment and Social Development Canada launched a national campaign declaring misclassification is illegal and will have consequences. The Canadian Trucking Alliance welcomed a new parliamentary study by the Standing Committee on Transport, Infrastructure and Communities to investigate drivering practices. Proposed reforms include applying the ABC test nationwide so workers are automatically considered employees unless proven otherwise, expanding audit powers for ESDC and the Canada Revenue Agency to catch chameleon carriers that reopen under new names, creating public carrier databases linking provincial and federal data to identify serial offenders, recovering unpaid taxes and benefits from companies that misclassify drivers. Despite progress, critics say enforcement remains weak. Penalties are small, inspections infrequent, and many drivers still afraid to speak out. How drivers can protect themselves. If you're a driver, especially a newcomer, here's how to stay safe. 1. Ask questions before signing. Who controls your routes and truck? If it's the company, you're likely an employee. 2. Keep records. Save contracts, invoices, and logbooks. Documentation protects you. 3. Know your rights. Even if your contract says contractor, Canadian law may still recognize you as an employee. 4. Seek help early. ESDC's labor program and community legal clinics offer free guidance. 5. Watch for red flags. Upfront fees, forced truck leases, and no training are warning signs. 6. Report abuse. Misclassification complaints can be filed confidentially, and you may recover unpaid wages or benefits. Knowledge is your best protection, and spreading that knowledge can protect others too. Clearing the highway for fair work and safe roads. Fixing this issue requires 3 things. First, real enforcement. Federal and provincial agencies must coordinate inspections and publish results. Second, empowerment. Drivers need multilingual resources, transparent contracts, and access to legal advice. Third, accountability. Carriers that follow the law should be rewarded through public scorecards, while repeat offenders lose government contracts. When rules are enforced and workers are protected, Canada's trucking industry can finally compete on safety and quality, not exploitation. It would save billions in public funds and restore integrity to one of the nation's most essential sectors. The story of Driver Inc. isn't just about trucking. It's about what happens when corporations exploit loopholes and ordinary workers pay the price. These fake business setups have turned honest jobs into dangerous gambles, robbing drivers of protection and eroding Canada's promise of fairness. Awareness is the first step toward change. The more people know, the harder it becomes for these schemes to survive in the shadows. Whether you're a driver, a newcomer, or simply a Canadian who believes in accountability, Your voice matters. Share this video, start the conversation, and help keep Canada's roads and workplaces safe. If you found this video valuable, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the truth behind Canada's biggest immigration and labor stories. See you in the next video.